The bottom line in this question is how fast do you need to drive south on the interstate highway? So we're looking to calculate a speed. Okay. And so they tell us that it's 6.5 miles west of your home that you have to travel, and you're only going 30 kilometers per hour. And then you have to wait 2 minutes, and I assume the distance that you have to travel on the on-ramp is negligible, or maybe it's in this 15 kilometers, but you have 15 kilometers driving south, so a total of 21.5 kilometers that you're driving. And you want to drive an average of 40 kilometers per hour for the whole trip. So how fast do we need to drive south on the interstate? So we went 30 kilometers per hour this part of the journey. So we're definitely going to go over 40 kilometers per hour on this part of the journey in order to make sure that we average out for 40 kilometers per hour for the whole trip. Okay, so we're talking about the average kilometers per hour. So what we want to do is take the total kilometers and divide by the total time traveled. Okay, and that will get us the kilometers per hour, because time we'll make sure we put that in terms of hours. So the total kilometers is nice and easy. That doesn't depend on this unknown speed. It's 6.5 kilometers plus an additional 15 kilometers, so that's 21.5 kilometers. So in physics, we like to put our units. We'll make sure to put km next to that. And now the total time, it's 6.5 kilometers at 30 kilometers per hour. So 6.5 kilometers, just writing this off to the side, and then we have 30 kilometers per hour. We want time to be our final unit here, right? So in order to make time be our final unit, we want to divide these two quantities, because when you divide, you would flip and multiply. So now that's times hours, 1 hour for 30 kilometers. And that makes our kilometers units cross cancel, and it gives us just hours like we wanted. So we were given these two pieces of information, and since I'm trying to find out how much time we traveled, I chose to divide 6.5 kilometers by 30 kilometers per hour. That way, I'd flip and multiply the units, giving me hours on top, which is what time is supposed to be measured in. Okay, so it's really 6.5 divided by 30 that we're calculating. 6.5 divided by 30 off to the side of my screen is 2.17, we'll say. Sorry, 0.217. Okay, so that's the first part of the journey. Then we wait for 2 minutes, but we want to talk about everything in terms of hours in the bottom. So let's take 2 and divide by 60. So it's 0.033 hours. That was more time we spent on. Same thing, we got to take the distance, we got to divide by the speed, but we don't know what our speed is at this point in the journey. Okay, so that represents the amount of time for that last 15 kilometers. And so this is all supposed to equal 40, because take the total kilometers, divide by the total time, that tells us kilometers per hour, that tells us our velocity. And the velocity is supposed to be equal to 40. So we just got kind of a complicated algebraic equation to solve, but I can obviously help you through that. Quickest way will probably be to copy this, get rid of this. Oops. There we go. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two numbers in the bottom. That'll make it a little easier. So we got 21.5 kilometers in the numerator, and in the denominator, 0.217 plus 0.217 plus 0.033, so that's 0.25. And our goal is to get x by itself. Right now, x is trapped in the denominator. So the algebraic step to get x out of the denominator is to multiply both sides by that entire denominator, by 0.25 plus 15 over x. Okay? Because if you multiply it to this term, it makes these cancel out. If you multiply it over here, we got to use the distributive property. We got to make sure that 40 multiplies to everything. So 40 times 0.25, that's 10. And then 40 times this, you can just multiply it to the numerator. So 40 times 15, that's 600 over x. That equals 21.5 kilometers. So we canceled this out of the bottom like we wanted, getting closer. I want to subtract that 10 from both sides to help me get closer to getting x by itself. We want to multiply both sides by x, and then divide 11.5 to finish getting x by itself. So 600 divided by 11.5, I've got 52.17. So we should be traveling 52.17. Remember, our units were kilometers, and then in the bottom this was hours. So that's 52.17 kilometers per hour.